Premier Jay Weatherall says aligning our time zone with the East Coast would put an end to interstate jibes that South Australia is behind the times. However, West Coast locals have vowed to fight the government's push to wind our clocks forward 30 minutes. Alice Monfries joins us now live from Port Lincoln. Alice, the Premier has suggested West Coast schools and businesses open later to offset the impact.
Well, that's right, Kate, and so far his idea hasn't gone down well. In fact, his suggestion that schools and businesses start later when it's light has been met with just as much hostility here in the West as calls to change the time zone in the first place. West Coast locals say winding their clocks forward would be a backward step, plunging the district into darkness for even longer each morning.
It's going to be so cold. And dark. It's going to make it very hard. Not impressed at all.
Prompting the Premier to suggest splitting the state into two separate time zones with a local informal time for the West. Schools and businesses to open later once it's light.
So if we change the Eastern Standard Time, they could simply change the starting times of schools, of government agencies, of businesses. That could be an agreement on the West Coast that would suit everybody there.
An idea not well received by school parents.
It's not a very good idea. No. I have to study, and my study starts at 9, so it'd mean I'd have to find alternate arrangements for my kids to get to school.
10 o'clock's a bit late. It'd make it a very late day in the afternoon for the children to be finishing.
Rejected too by business owners who say they'd lose crucial trading hours.
Oh, it'll give us a cramped or a much shorter time frame to do the business that we're supposed to do.
I don't know, we draw the line. It's a ludicrous idea, I think.
Well, I mean, he's defeating his purpose because he said we want to bring it in line with other businesses so everybody's the same. And then he says, well, we won't do that, we'll just make them a bit later.
But the Premier says it's an idea worth investigating and could also be the answer to already existing daylight savings issues.
They're complaining about getting up in the dark to going to school now. What we need to do is see an opportunity to actually resolve this for the future.
So while the majority of the West Coast remains strongly opposed to the call for a time zone change, the Premier remains determined to keep the discussions going with locals and to find a solution that will work for the entire state. Kate?
Thank you, Alice.